Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Key. I am a support analyst here in the En-ROADS support group. And today we're going to be covering a lecture on En-ROADS displaying features in plan, profile, and cross sections for the new XM edition. And first of all, we're going to talk about today's agenda. We're going to start off going over importing features from graphics. And this importing of features will allow us to bring in certain graphical elements from MicroStation, such as the right-of-way or utilities. That way we can have them as features in En-ROADS where they can be displayed in the profile and the cross-section. Then we're going to cover the style creation for these features. And we'll go over display features in the plan and 3D. Then we'll go into cross-section creation and updating the cross-sections for viewing these features in the cross-section. And then we'll cover profile creation and updating. And we'll end up with plan, cross-section, and profile annotation. And the reason we're going over this lecture today is we get a lot of calls in to the support desk about people trying to bring in certain graphical elements such as the right-of-way where they can view them in the cross-section and see how they are displayed and where they're located. First of all, we're going to be covering importing features from graphics. We're going to start off by going through File, Import Surface from Graphics command, and this will allow us to set up the feature how we want it when we bring it into En-ROADS for displaying. And we're going to go over the feature elevations and how to set those up for the different features. We're going to cover seed names and naming conventions for the different features, such as if you're bringing in an existing right-of-way compared to a proposed right-of-way. And then we're going to go into briefly the feature style, how to set that up on the import. And we're going to touch on the point type and things to look out for with that. And we're going to finish importing graphics by talking about excluding from triangulation and when you would need to use that command. So now I'm going to step over into the En-ROADS 8.9 XM edition, and we'll take a look at starting off with importing features. I'm just going to briefly go over what you're seeing on the screen here. The data set that I'm using for today's lecture is the data that comes with the En-ROADS product, and it is located in the 8.9 directory. So as you can see on the screen, I've got a couple of graphical elements displayed. I've got this magenta color line here, and that is representing the existing right-of-way for the new development that they're going to put in on this road. And if we zoom in just a little bit, you can see here the red line is representing our underground electric utilities, and the yellow line is going to represent the underground telephone. So we're going to import these features from the graphics where we can display them in the profile and cross section. So we're going to go to File, Import, Surface, and we're going to be importing from graphics today, and we're going to be putting these features into the proposed surface. Now there's a really neat tool in MicroStation that will allow us to select these features by different attributes. So we can go into Edit, Select by Attributes, and this MicroStation command allows us to select different graphical elements. We can select them depending on the level that they're on, the type of graphical element, and we can also select them by the color, style, and weight. So we're going to first import our proposed right-of-way lines, and we're going to select the type of line and line string and complex chain, and we're going to change the color, and we're going to change it to the magenta. And if you hit execute, you can see in the background that the proposed right-of-way lines are highlighted. And once they're highlighted, they are selected and they are available to be imported from the graphics. So we're going to come back over to our import surface command, and we're going to be loading from a single element that is selected, and we're going to now cover the elevations and how we want to bring the right-of-way lines in and how we want to set up the elevations. The right-of-way lines were just shot out by a survey crew with they did not shoot the known elevations, so we're just going to drape them onto the surface because that's just where would normally elevations for the right-of-way lines would be. So we're going to have elevation set to drape surface, and our intercept surface is going to be our original surface. Now moving down to the seed name for the features, and this is where we're going to set up the different naming conventions for the different features that you're bringing in. And right now we're bringing in our proposed right-of-way, and we recommend that you keep the names for your existing and your proposed features different, that way you can differentiate between them when you're selecting them. And so for our seed name, we're bringing in our proposed right-of-way, so we're going to call this prop ROW. And our feature style, we'll be going through how to set up and create a feature style, so that doesn't really matter too much right now. But with the feature style, if you have a style set up for a certain feature, you can assign it here and it will be assigned to that feature, and you will not have to go back and assign it later or change any of the style if everything is set up. And going on to point type. Now, it is important here to know that if you're wanting to display a feature in a cross-section, that your point type has to be a break line. Random features will not display in the cross-section. And moving down to exclude from triangulation. This is just a feature, a representative feature out just placed on the surface, so there's no real need for it to be triangulated into the surface, so we're going to toggle on exclude from triangulation. And once we have this set up, we're going to click apply, and it will ask if you want to use elements contained in the selection set, and we'll select OK. That's just the elements from our select by attributes that we selected, and those should be imported in. So real quick, we're just gonna minimize this, and we'll take a look real quick at the surface features just to make sure that those features were brought in correctly. So we'll go into surface, feature properties, and as you can see in our surface proposed, you can see down here we have our proposed right-of-way and proposed right-of-way 1 were brought into that surface, so everything was imported correctly. So we can close this dialog box. So now that we have the right-of-way lines in, we'll just quickly go through and import the underground utilities and the underground telephone lines. So we're going to change our select by attributes. We're going to change the color, and we'll bring in the underground electrical lines, and that was color 3, the red. So execute, and you can see that the red was highlighted. So now that we have the underground electrical lines selected, we're going to go back into the file import surface command and import those underground utilities into the proposed surface. So our surface is proposed. We're going to load them from the single element. We are going to drape the feature onto the surface. Now for the underground utilities, they will be at a certain depth inside of the surface, but I will go back in just a little bit and we'll show you how you can drape them into the surface. And we're going to be draping them onto our proposed surface. On this, what we're going to be bringing in is our proposed underground electrical. So we're going to give it a seed name of prop underground electrical, and feature style we will set up later. point type of break line, and exclude from triangulation. So we'll click apply, and it's just asking if we want to retriangulate since we have more features in the surface, and we can just select no. We'll select the elements in the selection set. So now we have our underground electrical lines brought in, and now we just need to bring in our underground telephone lines. So under the select by attributes, we're just going to change the color to the color of the telephone lines and execute, and it highlights the underground telephone. So we'll come back over to importing the feature, importing into the proposed surface, loading from the single element. We're going to drape the feature onto the surface elevations again, and for this seed name, this is our proposed underground telephone, so let's change this to proposed underground telephone, and point type of break line and exclude from triangulation. So apply and use the elements in the selection set. Okay, so now we have our proposed right-of-way, our proposed electrical, and our proposed telephone lines brought into En-ROADS as features into our proposed surface. So now what we need to do is, well, first of all, we'll just close this select by attributes so we have everything imported. Okay, let's zoom back out here real quick. Once we brought in the proposed underground electrical lines and proposed underground telephone lines, when we imported those in, we just draped those onto the surface, but we need to get those underneath the surface. So we can do that by going to Surface, Design Surface, Drape Surface, and it brings up the Drape Surface dialog box. And we're going to keep our destination surface in the proposed surface, and we are bringing the features from the proposed surface. And so let's just go down and select our proposed underground electrical, and our elevation adjustment is where we're going to set up for it to be down in the ground. So we're going to give that an offset of -3, and that will put it down 3 feet. Let's just click apply, and no, we don't need to retriangulate, and we'll do the same for the underground telephone, and you can see the elevation adjustment is still -3. So let's click apply, and no. Okay, and now we have those features draped into the surface, so we can close this out, and we'll step back over to our presentation. So now that we have talked about our importing features from graphics, we're going to move to our next topic. Now we're going to talk about style creation. We're going to go over the naming conventions for the different styles. I'm going to go through how to set up the displays and how to turn the displays on to display in the plan, in the profile, and the cross section. And then we're going to go through setting up the name symbology for that style. So we're going to head back over to En-ROADS. So we are going to create a new style for our proposed right-of-way. And to create this new style, we're going to go to Tools, Style Manager. And when the Style Manager comes up, we're going to be creating a new style. And we want to start off by giving it a name. And we want to stress again that it's good to keep your proposed and your existing features differentiated, and that even comes down to the style that you create for those features. So we're doing a proposed right-of-way, so we're going to give this a name of prop, ROW, and we'll give it a description of proposed right-of-way. And we're going to include the definition for a surface feature, which is what we brought into En-ROADS. So we'll move down into the surface feature tab. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They try to view their features and they're not set up to display in the plan, the cross-section, or the profile. And so if they're not toggled on here, they're not going to display in the plan profiler cross section. We recommend that you go through and just turn all of these options on, and it's a lot better to have a lot of information than not have enough information and not know where to go and change it. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on all of the options. And now that we have these options turned on under the settings, we will go under the symbology and set up a name symbology for our proposed right-of-way. So we're going to create a new symbology, and we're going to give this a name of proposed right-of-way. And again, we'll just give it a description of proposed right-of-way. Okay, so we're going to mainly worry with our proposed right-of-way in displaying it in the plan and the cross section. So we're going to go into the line symbology for the plan, and we're just going to change the color to magenta to keep it the same as we have it graphically displayed. Select OK, and we're also going to do annotation, so we'll turn on the plan text, and we will be worrying about the cross-section point for displaying this feature, the proposed right-of-way in the cross-section. And as you can see, for point symbology, you can either set up a symbol to display or you can set up a cell. And we're going to create a cell real quick, and that way we have a cell to briefly describe exactly what that feature is in the cross-section. So we can go ahead and just close out of this, and we're going to MicroStation and create a cell, and we'll make sure that we apply. It already exists. I might have already created it before. And close, and we'll apply our new style and close, and we can close out of the style manager. Go into element, cells, and we have our cell library brought up, and I'm going to be working off of an existing cell, and I believe that cell is the existing right-of-way. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to place this cell out into MicroStation where we can edit it, and we're going to place it out at a X and Y scale of 1 to 1. Okay, and we have that placed. We can zoom in where we can see that cell. Okay, so now we have that placed. First of all, we need to drop the complex for that cell where we can edit it. So, just select it real quick, and we'll drop the element. Okay, and since our our proposed right-of-way is a magenta color, we're just going to change this color real quick to the magenta. And now we can go in and edit the text, and we're going to name this one prop ROW for the proposed right-of-way. Okay, and also I want to extend this line out just a little bit, and if we come over here, this is a new tool in MicroStation XM if nobody's ever seen it. It's got the not only the symbol for the command that you're going to use, but it also gives the name of the command out next to it. So extend line, and we're going to extend this line out. There we go. And now we need to place the cell origin. So let's just select it all real quick, and we'll come out to define cell origin, and we're going to place it right there. Okay, and now we're ready to create our new cell. So if we come down in the cell library to create, and we'll give it a name of prop ROW for proposed right-of-way, and our description will be proposed right-of-way. And create. And as you can see, we have a new cell in there in the cell library named proposed right-of-way. Now I'm also going to just quickly go through and create a cell for the underground utilities and the underground telephone. So we'll just work off of this same cell. So we're gonna change the text here, and we'll work first with our proposed underground electrical. So prop underground electrical. Okay. And we'll extend that line back out. And we want to change the color. Our electrical was red, so we'll change our color real quick. So we have that back. And let's place the cell origin. Okay. Now that we have that set up the way we want it, we can create. And we'd name this proposed underground electric. And give it the description. Okay. And create. And you can see we have that cell created. So I'm just going to go back in here real quick and create the one for the proposed underground telephone. And okay, so I'm just going to select all of this, and our underground telephone was yellow, so we'll change the color. Okay, and just to make sure, let's place the origin just to make sure that it's placed in the correct spot. Okay, and we'll create this new one. Okay, so proposed underground telephone, and give it the description. Okay, and create. And now we have the 3 cells created for our proposed right-of-way, our proposed underground electric, and our proposed underground telephone. Okay, so now that we have those created, we can just exit out of this, and we'll just delete that cell. Okay, so back out here in Inroads, let's go back into the Style Manager. So go back into Tools, Style Manager, and let's go down to the proposed right-of-way. Okay, and open that for editing. And now for our surface feature, we'll go back under the symbology and edit our symbology. For our cross-section point, and we're going to display a cell, and we can scroll through here and scroll down and find our proposed right-of-way. And I am working with just the X scale 1:1, and that'll be fine. So let's click OK, and we can select Apply and Close, and Apply and Close. Okay, so now we have our style created for our proposed right-of-way, and we'll just go through real quick and make sure that we have our styles created for our proposed underground utility and our proposed telephone. And actually, if you look right here, our proposed underground electric, we have that created, and let's just go into the symbology and assign our cross-section point. We'll assign our cell that we just created. So display, and our proposed underground electric. Okay, apply, close. Okay, and we'll go into our proposed underground telephone. For our surface feature symbology, we'll edit our symbology, and for our cross-section point, we will display our proposed underground telephone cell. Okay, now it's set up, and OK. Apply and close. Apply. And the only reason it's given this prompt is we have it set up under the General tab to include the definition for a survey feature, and our style, our symbology is not set up with a with an alpha code, but that'll be okay. We can continue creating that. Okay. So now we have our styles created. Let's head back over to our presentation. So now we've gone over our style creation, and we're going to move to our next topic. And now we're going to go over displaying the features in the plan, cross-section, and profiles. And we're going to go through the feature selection. We're going to real quickly go through setting up a feature filter. That way we can just select features by certain attributes where they're not, in case you have multiple features inside a surface and you don't want to go through every feature. And then we'll go through creating the cross sections and updating the cross sections to turn on the features to displaying those cross sections. And we'll go through creating the profile and updating the profile. So we'll head back over to En-ROADS. So before we get started with displaying the features in the plan, cross-section, and profiles, when we imported our features from graphics, we just assigned a general style to our features. So let's go into our feature properties, and I'll show you how you can change the style of features after you import, or if you need to change the style. So we'll go into Surface, Feature Properties, and we'll be looking in our proposed surface. And so what we'll do is we'll start out with our proposed right-of-ways, and we have the two proposed right-of-ways, so we'll select these. And when we brought them in, it gave it a style of centerline, but we want to give it our style that we created for the proposed right-of-way. So we'll give proposed right-of-way and select apply. And as you can see, it changed the style to proposed right-of-way. So now for our proposed electrical, let's change our style. And apply. And for our proposed telephone, and apply. And so now, as you can see, we have our proposed underground electric and our proposed underground telephone, and our right-of-ways are set up to display. So now we can close out of our feature properties. Okay, and now I went through and we created some random features to represent groups of trees in the original surface that needed to be cut down. So what we created those in the original surface, and I'm going to use those features to show you how to display those in the plan view. So to get those to display, we're going to go to Surface, View Surface, and Features. And it brings up our View Features box. And those trees were surveyed on the original surface, so we're going to change our surface to original. And we gave those a style, we gave those a name of tree. And as you can see, we brought those in, and they're brought in under default. And the default style is set to display, but we have a style set up for a coniferous tree that has a cell to represent the feature point. So let's just close out of this real quick, and we'll go into our surface feature properties, and under our original surface, and we want to choose all of these tree features. So we'll do a Control Shift and select all of those, and we'll change our primary style, and it's right up here, and it is C Tree. Okay, so we have that set and apply, and as you can see, it changes our styles. So let's close back out of here and go back into Surface, View Surface Features, and we only want to display our tree features. So we'll select these and apply. Close. And as you can see, it brought the tree features in. So that was a real quick, just a walkthrough real quick of how to display the features in the plan view. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into creating the cross sections where we can display our features that we brought in from the graphics. So to do that, we'll go to Evaluation, Cross Section, Create Cross Section. So now that we're in the Create Cross Section dialog box, we have our cross section set up to in our preference how we want it to display. And if you come down to the Include tab, a lot of times what people will do is they will include their crossing features and their projected features, but the style is not set up to display in the cross section. And this is where a lot of people get hung up, because they think that just toggling on displaying those features, that those features will display, but it has to be set up in the style. Now now that our style is set up, we could go through and turn on our crossing features and projected features, and that will display every feature in our surfaces that we have. But I want to just create a simple cross section, and we will update the cross section and show you how to bring in the features by updating. So let's apply, and just our triangles letter date now. So we'll create our cross section. We'll close, and let's zoom in real quick so we can get a good look at one of the cross sections for when we update. So now to bring in our features, we can go to Evaluation, Cross Section, Update Cross Section, and under our General tab, we make sure our mode is set to display on, because we're wanting to turn on features inside of this cross section. And one good thing to make sure is this cross section set. Make sure that this is the correct cross section set that you are going to update the features for. So we're going to be adding our crossing features, and we'll be adding our features from our proposed surface. So let's scroll down real quick, and we'll select our proposed underground electric, our telephone, and our right-of-ways, and apply. And normally it'll take just a second to process, because it has to go through and pick up every feature on the cross section. Okay, so it looks like it's done, so we'll close. And as you can see, it brought in our cells, and I'll zoom in real quick so you can see that this is our proposed right-of-way, and it brought that cell in. And you can look down here, and it brought in our proposed underground telephone and our proposed underground electric. So those cells, they look okay for the purposes of just showing you how to update them in the cross section. And you can also we can go through here real quick and just go back into Evaluation, Cross Section, and Update Cross Section, and we can actually turn off our underground utilities if we don't want to see those, if we just want to clean it up a little bit. So we'll display off, choose our surface of proposed, and we'll select our proposed telephone and our proposed electric, and apply. and close, and that will turn off our features in the cross sections. So now we've gone through creating the cross sections and updating the cross sections. Now we'll go through creating profiles and updating a profile. So zoom out real quick, and we'll just simply go and look at the feature that we need to display in our profile. So we'll go to Surface, Feature Properties, and our surface is proposed, and we actually have a culvert, a concrete culvert that was surveyed, and we just want to display that in the cross section. That way we can see where it's located and make sure that our utilities don't interfere with that culvert. Okay, and as you can see under our proposed, there is our culvert feature. So we can close out of this, and we'll go to Evaluation, Profile, Create Profile, and our preferences are set up. And once again, you could come into the Include and turn on all of your crossing features and projected features, but that will turn on every feature in your surfaces. So we're going to leave those off, and we'll apply and select right there for our profile and close. And now that we have our profile, we're going to update that profile to display that culvert. So we'll go to Evaluation, Profile, Update Profile, and we're going to update our crossing features, and we're going to turn our display on, and our culvert is in our proposed surface, and we'll choose our feature and select Apply and close. And as you can see by this blue circle, which is our symbol, and our style symbology, that represents our culvert. Okay, so now that we have that displayed, we can display our underground telephone and our underground electric in this profile to see how far down under the culvert that those utilities go, just to make sure we have enough clearance. And so to do that, we'll go back into Evaluation, Profile, Update Profile, and we'll have our projected features, and those are in our proposed surface, and we'll scroll down to our proposed electric and our proposed telephone, and display is on. So click Apply and close, and you can see that it brought in our underground utilities into the profile. And even though it dips down below the profile, you see there's enough clearance underneath the culvert to make sure that there's no interference. Okay, so now we've gone through and I've shown you how to display features in the plan view, how to create cross sections and update the cross sections to turn on and off the features, and showed you how to do the same for a profile. So move back to our presentation real quick, and we're going to briefly go over annotation. We're going to go over annotating the features in the plan view, and we're going to talk about annotating the features in the profile and annotating in the cross section. So now that we're back in the product, we can go through annotating the features in the plan view, and we'll annotate the trees. So to do that, we'll go to Surface, View Surface, Annotate Feature. And real quick while I'm here, I'm going to go through setting up a feature selection filter, and that will allow us to filter out the different features by different attributes such as the name and style. And to do that, we select this filter button, and it brings up the feature selection filter dialog. And so we'll start out, filter name will be unnamed, and we're going to start with no features. And right here under the attribute, you can see the different attributes that you can search by. You can search by the name, the style, the feature type, elevation. You can see all of those there. We're going to search by the name, and we're going to do our value of tree with a star and add rule. And as you can see, under our current results, it brought in all of our features that are associated with the name tree. Okay, so that we have that, we can select OK. And as you can see back in our annotate feature box, the only features that are there are the tree features. So we can go ahead and if that's the only ones, we can right click and select all. And we are going to be annotating the points. So we need to make sure that annotate points is turned on. And then go back up to the top under the points tab, and we'll go through, and for these trees we're going to be annotating just the northing and the easting, and we're going to annotate the offset and the feature's name. So now we have all those set up, and we can click apply, and it'll take it just a second to process. Okay, it's done, so we can close, and we can zoom in, and you can see that it annotated with the feature's name, the northing, the easting, and the offset to the alignment. Okay, so we'll fit this view here real quick. We have annotated the plan. We will go into annotating the cross sections. So let's zoom into our cross sections real quick, and you can see our right-of-way line is still there. So to annotate our cross sections, we'll go to Evaluation, Cross Section, Annotate Cross Section, and start off up here in the General tab. We need to make sure that our cross section set is the correct set. We can use the pick button and make sure. We make sure we turn our surface on that our feature is included in. And we go under points. We're not going to include points, so that needs to be off. We're not going to include our segments of our lines, so that needs to be off. But we're going to include our features, so that needs to be turned on. And the only thing that we're going to annotate is our offset and our elevation. And you need to also make sure that we go under the Annotate tab and make sure that our features are selected. Now, only the features that are displayed in the cross-section set are the features that you can annotate. So if you have certain features that you want to annotate in the cross-section, they must be displayed in the cross-section before you can annotate them. So we have those, and we'll select Apply, and we can close. And as you can see, it brought in our annotation with our offset and our elevation, and it brought it into every cross-section set. So now that we have our cross-sections annotated, we'll fit this view back out. And to annotate this profile, instead of using the Annotate Profile command, I'm going to show you how to place a profile note, because the only thing that we're going to annotate is our culvert. So I'm going to zoom into our culvert real quick, and to place a profile note, you just go into Drafting and Place Profile Note, and as you can see, it brings up our drafting folder, and we need to be under our profiles, and this is our proposed, and we want a station and elevation. So have that selected and click Apply, and it will identify anchor point, and we're going to anchor to the feature itself, and then we're just going to come off of that feature and place the note location. So we'll just place it in here. Okay, and close. And as you zoom in here, you can see that this feature is located at the station of 10 plus 870 plus 0, and it has an elevation of 279.25. So that concludes our annotation of our profile. So let's go back over to our presentation real quick. So in our annotation, we went through annotating the features in the plan view, annotating the features in the profile, and annotating in the cross section. So in conclusion, today we've seen how to import features from graphics. We've gone through how to create a style for those features. We've gone through how to display features in the plan, cross-section, and profile. And we have gone through how and shown a few ways of how to annotate features. So that concludes the lecture today on En-ROADS displaying features in plan, profile, and cross-sections for Bentley En-ROADS XM Edition.